Are you an entrepreneur or a business owner who is trying to grow their business using social media channels in 2021? Are you leveraging Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or podcasts to market your business, but you're not really getting any results out of it because there is a lot of noise out there and you're not standing out in front of your customers? In this video, my guest will be sharing 5 ways to build your brand on social media in 2021. Hey everyone, welcome to Digital Marketing Talks. I'm your host Rana, founder of Green Marketing Zone and Digital Marketing Talks. Make sure to stick around so you don't miss any tips and tricks to market and grow your business. Let's dive in. Today I'm joined with a talented brand coach and a marketing strategist, Steph Weber. Let's welcome her. Hi Steph, how are you doing?
Hi Rana, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you at Digital Marketing Talks. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, what you do, any fun fact about yourself.
I love it. Okay, great. So I'm Steph Weber. I am the owner here at the Weber Co., where we empower women entrepreneurs to build a brand that captivates and converts. I leverage a 3-part strategy in order to do this. So it includes vision, clarity, and then strategy implementation in order to help entrepreneurs stand out in their industries, because there is a lot of saturation. There is a lot of noise. And at the end of the day, I truly believe that entrepreneurs make the world go round. And anything that I can do to help is pivotal. But we truly believe here at the Weber Co. that if you do not build a solid brand, you do not have a sustainable business. So if you want a business that is going to stick around for the long haul, it is important to make sure that you build your brand. I say that it's that solid foundation that you have to have before you can try to execute marketing strategies that may not be working for you. And it may be a brand issue versus a marketing issue. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. In terms of fun facts, I'm a mom to a sweet 3-month-old baby boy. We currently live in Phoenix, where it is basically sunny all the time. My husband and I love to camp and hike, so we are very adventurous and outdoorsy people. And that's a little bit about me personally.
I am really excited to have you here. Building a brand on social media is a process of connecting with your target audience. And when you are going across multiple platforms, it gives you authority and it gives you the credibility for yourself, be it if you are trying to create your own personal brand or if you are trying to create a brand for your business. And it always connects you with your potential customers. But most of the time, people are failing to build their brand because they don't have that systematic approach or they don't have that strategy around their social media when they're building their brand. What role does social media play in building your brand, be it you're building a personal brand or you're building a brand for your business?
Good question. So social media, no matter what platform that you are present on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or wherever it may be, is a way for you to demonstrate your voice, is a way for you to connect to your audience, is a way for you to allow them in a way that lets that human connection happen in a very natural and organic way. So when it comes to building your brand, there is no better place to be than to be present on social media in some capacity. But there are some pieces before you show up on social media that will make it more beneficial when you do show up.
Awesome. So what is one thing you love about social media when it comes to building your brand? Is there anything that you feel like, okay, I love this thing about social media?
So I'm big on community and connection. And so I love that social media allows us to connect with people that we wouldn't normally be able to otherwise. I mean, all around the world, right? We're able to connect with people that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. I mean, Rana and I here, as an example, have connected because of social media, right? And I think that it's really, really amazing that social media allows us to do that. So that's one piece of it, just that connection and that community perspective. But the other side of it too, I think a few years ago, social media, especially on Instagram, it seemed that there was this idea around like the perfectly curated feed and that everything had to look a certain way and be very filtered. And it became like this weird thing. I think Instagram especially is becoming more of a space of authenticity, especially as reels are coming to the forefront of marketing, etc. And I think that it's really cool to see that transition of people just showing up and being who they are and allowing for people who connect to them in that way into their space. And I think that that's really powerful.
I have gotten this question a lot of time that how can I market my business on social media? How can I get more customers from social media side? So tell us a little bit about how a business owner can leverage social media to build their brand.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, this is a great question. So I have a 5-step process for you that I wanted to share today. So step number 1 is going to be to define your avatar. You have to know with absolute clarity who it is that you serve online, who it is that you're talking to, and know who that one very specific person is. And defining your avatar is not just about knowing like their demographic info and about just like maybe kind of knowing this person. It's about what is it that they're struggling with? What is it that they're currently being challenged by? And what is it that they want? And how do you help them solve that problem? Okay, so there are a lot of layers when it comes to defining your avatar, but that is the very first step. The second step is going to be to develop your brand positioning. In order to do this, you're going to need to do a SWOT analysis. You need to know who else is in the market that is within your same industry, and you need to know what they're offering, what they're doing, and how you can fill gaps in your specific industry. And then within that brand positioning, also developing your message that's true and authentic to who you are at your core and what your brand is all about, like what your brand actually stands for and what you do, right? That's step number 2.
So the thing is with the positioning, my question here is like mostly businesses, they have this issue that they cannot really understand where is their target audience, where do they hang out the most, how can they do the market research to find out, okay, this is how I can position myself. So are there any tools or are there any things that business owners can leverage to position or to get the clarity on positioning their business?
Well, there are many things, but a couple of things that I would say that you could do on your own. Number 1, after you've defined your avatar, set up some connect calls. I always think that the best way to do any kind of research is to actually get on calls with people or ask people that you feel like are your avatar. So when I first started my business, I knew that I was going to be working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. So I simply reached out and I said, hey, I have a handful of questions. These were generally people that I was in the same circle with in some capacity, but I reached out and I said, hey, I'm working on something. I have a few questions. Would you mind hopping on a call for 10 to 15 minutes just so I can ask you? I'm not selling you on anything, but I just want to ask you a handful of questions. You have to do your market research and you have to you can't play the guessing game here, right? You have to actually know who your audience is and what they really need from you in order to be able to fill those gaps and position your brand in a way that makes sense. But the other thing too is that doing your research in terms of what already exists in the market. So doing that SWOT analysis, a SWOT analysis for those of you who may not be familiar, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Doing a SWOT analysis of your competitors, pick 3 competitors, 3 of your competitors that you feel like you're on the same playing field with, and figure out what it is that they're doing. What are their offers? What is their overall message? Who is it that they truly serve? And what are they not doing? What are they not doing right now? Where are the gaps, right? So for me, within the coaching industry, I noticed that there was a huge gap in accountability in the programs that were being offered. And I said, I can solve that problem. And that is going to help me be able to position our brand in a way that stands out in our industry that does something different than what already exists on the market, right? Number 3, it would be to define your content pillars. Okay, there are a few different ways that you can say this. I say content buckets, content pillars, it doesn't matter, right? But they are overarching themes or topics that your avatar needs to hear from you in order for them to understand that you're an expert in your space and that you have a solution to whatever problem that they're experiencing right now, okay? So overarching themes and topics. So for example, I have a client who has a med spa, and so within their med spa, they also have a skincare, bath and body product, etc. So when we were piecing together their content pillars, we came up with a couple of things that were very obvious and easy right off the bat. Number 1, social proof and testimonials, right? In order to really stand out online, it's important to have that social proof or those testimonials of other people getting results through whatever it is that you offer. So that was something right off the bat that was very easy for us to come up with for them. The second piece for them, the brand itself. And what I mean by that is the behind the scenes, the sneak peeks, the like inside info to let us in a little bit, right? To actually build a connection that is true to their brand, that is different than what other med spas are doing, right? It's kind of giving that like personal taste into who they are. The next piece, of course, product education, product information, how products work, using products together, etc., right? Another content pillar, their benefits of their services and those transformations, those like before and afters, right? So those are an example of some of those content pillars. Within each of those, there are endless pieces of content you can create from that. But defining 4 to 5 overarching themes that your avatar needs to hear from you is an important step in making sure whatever you're putting on social media aligns with and speaks to that avatar that we defined in the first step.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, you have to determine your marketing funnel. So your marketing and sales funnel, it basically looks like an inverted pyramid. At the very top, there's this awareness stage. Your audience has to become aware of you first before they are ever going to make a buying decision. And an important statistic for you guys to keep in mind here, about 2 to 3% of your audience is ready to buy at any given time, which is why it's important to make sure that you are always adding to your audience and you're always growing, but with the right people, right? And those engagement rates, those conversion rates can increase if you have a truly engaged audience that is full of your avatar specifically because you've done this work from the very beginning, or you're pivoting to do the work now. Okay, so you have to determine your marketing funnel. And like what Rana said earlier, where is your avatar actually present? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on TikTok, right? You have to make sure that you're showing up where they're showing up. Otherwise, your message won't be seen or heard by the right people. That's number 4. Number 5 is to show up consistently and engage. And I know that maybe this one sounds a little bit cliche, but I can't tell you the number of times that I have seen an entrepreneur launch a new program, a new product, a new service, and they launch it, and they have a great launch, and then they disappear for 2 months. And then they expect to come back and be able to launch again, except that they haven't shown up. They haven't done the work to show up consistently. Your audience has to walk through the know, like, and trust factor. And in order for them to do that, they have to actually have an opportunity to get to know you. How do you expect anyone to trust you if you can't even show up consistently, right?
Right.
So that is a really important piece, but also the engagement side of things. So Rana, you mentioned earlier before we started this live today, you mentioned that your question that you often get is, why is social media not leading to conversions or sales, right? Well, usually the reason is because entrepreneurs are throwing up a post and then sitting and waiting. They're throwing up a post and then going, okay, what's next? Okay, I'm waiting for the sales to roll in. You can't do that, you guys. You're not Nike. You're not Nike, right? So if you're Nike, that's a whole different ballgame, but you're not. Right. So it's great if that's like our aspiration of where we want to build this brand to be a household name that everyone knows. I think that that's really awesome, but you have to start somewhere, which means that you actually have to show up and have conversations with people in the DMs or people who are commenting on your photos. You need to be responding to them. People who are liking your photos, you need to be responding to, right? You have to acknowledge those people, build those relationships, and then grow from it.
Most of the time, businesses don't have any strategy when they're building their brand on social media. They just go all over the board. Like they have to be on Facebook, they have to be on Instagram, then they have to be on TikTok because TikTok is famous these days. Everybody's on TikTok. So it's like having too many channels sometimes, being on all of these social media channels. It's hard. You have to be very specific because on Facebook, the way you're going to advertise or you're going to do your post and everything for your audience is going to be different than Instagram, right? And sometimes businesses, they don't have that much time. And what they're doing is they have just one post that they're posting. It's about their product or service, or it's something that they're educating their audience about. And they just go all over the board with one post on all social media channels. So what do you suggest to business owners of if they're trying to build their brand on social media, do they have to have all social media channels, or they can just pick one and then build their audience on around it, and once they have the community around that channel, they can maybe switch to the other one as well to leverage that?
That's an excellent question. And what I would say to that is pick two. Pick two to start. And most oftentimes, most people are going to find that their avatar is on Instagram and on Facebook. So I recommend picking those two. But when it comes to the content, it can't just be I'm just going to copy everything I'm doing on Instagram and just throw it up on my Facebook page and hope for the best. And in fact, I would say that if you are not going to start paying for ads on Facebook, your Facebook page is great, but it's not going to be where you're going to see a ton of organic reach and traffic. So I always recommend a group. But the other thing with that too is you need to look at how the platforms are prioritizing content. For example, live video on Facebook, huge priority. You need to absolutely be doing lives on Facebook. And I know some of you are hearing this going, I hate live video. I don't want to show up on live video. Okay. Well, that's something that we can work through, right? And the answer I always have to that is, all right, well, let's go back to your vision. What is it that people need from you? And also, what is it that's keeping you from showing up on live video? Oftentimes it's a mind block with the entrepreneurs that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. And we work through it and then they're fine and they go live and everybody's okay. But that's for Facebook, right? On Instagram, we're seeing Reels right now be very popular. And in terms of organic reach, there is nothing better than producing content on Reels on Instagram right now. So it's important to make sure that if you are hopping on these platforms, you're using them in the best way that you can, because I know your time is limited. I know that you can't be all things to all people and be present on all of these platforms. But that's where I would say to start. The next step after that is going to be in that marketing and sales funnel. Mm-hmm. From social media, where are you taking them next? Oftentimes it's an email list, or it might be directly to your website, or it might be to book a call with you. It kind of depends on what the next step is in your marketing and sales funnel. But it's important to make sure that you are taking people from social media and doing something with them. Because the other important thing to keep in mind is that we don't own social media. So tomorrow, Mark Zuckerberg could decide that he's going to change everything about Facebook, and we're all screwed because we have no idea what to do next. And we haven't built our audience outside of social media, and that's a scary place to be as well. So there are a lot of different tactics to get people from social media to the next place with you, but that's kind of the flow of what I would say makes most sense. Pick two that you can stick to and commit to, and use them as they are intended to be used. Facebook, live video, Instagram, Reels right now.
What are the things that any business can use when they're creating their strategy?
Mm-hmm. So I would say, obviously, first, it does come down to your avatar. Then next, it comes to your story, right? So you have to keep in mind that when you're building a brand, the brand is who you are. It's what the business is, it's what the business stands for. It's where the business is going to build emotional connection with its audience. And the way that I teach this maybe sounds or looks a little bit different than others, but the brand is the heart and the soul. It is the heart and the soul behind the business, and the business is like the exchange of dollars for whatever it is that you offer. Okay. So that's the way that I kind of like to define that. But when it comes to the brand strategy itself, I mean, there are a couple of key pieces that you can start with defining. Number one is going to be your avatar. We've already talked about that. Number two, your mission, vision, and core values. So I pieced together a brand guide for the entrepreneurs that I work with, and those are the first three pieces that are inside of that brand guide to help lead and guide your messaging and marketing efforts. Everything that you do, share, etc., should come back to mission, vision, and core values. Okay. And that's a whole separate training that I could do in terms of like how to define those and how to clarify them for you. But that would be kind of that next step. And then the third thing would be creating that story bank for yourself, right? And when we talk about story, think about story in a very easy and honest way. You go to the movies because you're captivated by story. You read books because you're captivated by story. It's exactly what we're doing when it comes to our marketing. And again, with brand story, there are numerous types of brand story. In my workshop this week, we're going to go into 4 of them, but having those brand stories that are in your back pocket that are used on a frequent and repetitious basis is important. Frequency and repetition are 2 top drivers of sales. So when you're sharing your story, and you can come at it from a different angle every so often, it's important for your audience in order to really build that brand recognition and that loyalty. In order for them to associate you with whatever it is that you do, they have to hear something multiple times in order to actually have it connect and click and be able to resonate and recall.
What advice do you have for business owners who are looking to build their brand on social media?
I think first and foremost, definitely do your research. Don't play the guessing game, and make sure that if you have an idea, you vet it with the audience that you think you could sell this idea to, right? So you're getting on calls, you're connecting with people, you're asking the questions, you're not just guessing, because I've seen entrepreneurs do that. And what happens when they do that, they've created this thing, they spend a ton of time on it, and then they go to put it out to the market where they haven't built a brand and they haven't built recognition, and then it doesn't sell.
Awesome. That's a great advice for anybody who is trying to build their brand on social media. So what is the best place for people to find you or contact you?
You can come hang out on Instagram at the Weber Co. And Weber is just with one B. You guys can see it there in my name. You can also join our Facebook group, Brand Building Rockstars, on Facebook, and we would love to have you there too.
Thank you so much, Steph, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, well, thank you. It was wonderful to be with you today.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure our audience got a lot of value out of all of the discussion, and they will definitely have now a strategy or a plan to build their brand on social media. So your brand is what people say about it, not what you think that you are or your business is. All of these social media platforms are a powerful tools for you to stand out in the midst of competition, but it requires planning and a strategy around it. So do pick your channel where you want to advertise or you want to build your brand, then create a strategy around it and provide value to your target audience so you can build your brand on social media. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below and I will be happy to help you. Thanks for watching. Happy marketing, everyone.